Atas library tak buka tu. Tak guna?
Dia orang tak guna, dia mak
Ha?
semua dekat Mamat.
Maman?
Bola 3 semua Mamat.
Maman sudah satu kan?
Tak Mamat dia semua ada CD dia dekat Mamat. Ada yang diminta je.
Dia minta dia minta kena bakar ni dulu kan ni. Terus juga di sini. Lepas ni. Ha?
Tak ada LCD. LCD ni tak ada. Nanti ask them to penuh tempat depan dulu before you start. Alright. Mantap. Oh, they sit on their own eh. Dia macam buat apa? Tapi nama tu masa lah. Aku nak tunggu. Siapa?
I would like to say that we are all still under CMCO, right? So although you're in school with your friends, you're not supposed to be touching each other. Alright? You're not supposed to be, you must maintain social distancing at all times. Alright? Because it is very, very dangerous. Okay? And you don't know if any of your friends have been close contacts. So please, no touching. Okay? Don't go closer than the 1 meter that you're supposed to. Alright? Wear your mask properly. I'm not wearing mine because I'm far from people. Just if I go move around near you, I'll be wearing my mask. Okay? But for you, please wear your mask at all times. Alright? Let me just check to see if my Wi-Fi is available. Now, have you gotten your modules yet? Not yet, yeah? This side belum, right? This side down. Right. Because my slides today will be based on the modules. Okay? Now, before before we begin, I'll just check my Wi-Fi sekejap, eh?
Masuk YouTube. Masuk YouTube tak?
Orang tepi. Apa di depan? Siapa di depan? Buka kuih simpan. Depan awak, depan awak.
Dia boleh tak cukup lah rasa. 3 boxes for the whole. Ini tak cannot be. Impossible.
Tapi bunyi kuat. Tengah hari
Dia
kau pasang.
Dia full boxes. Mana bisa tak? Dah habis je lagi. Saya sih tak cukup lah. Dah lah tak penuh pula tu dia tu. Dalam box tu. Wifi ni. Tekan ni lepas tu dan nak keluar tu yang pizza. So what? You on tak? You tengok tak? Oh. Malah I just tadi dia kata Jesus cannot be connected. Huda tolong Huda macam mana ni? Kenapa? Wifi sekolah tak ada ke? Wifi kan? My ni. Bluetooth? Tak boleh. Tu dah connected dah. Sabar. Itu tak. Nampak juga semua. Sebab jalan tu jalan kita. Dah 500 meter dah. Untuk tak dapat main ke rumah, anak kaki ada tawakal lah. Ke rumah sama jangan ada yang datang sebelum. Berlagi. Pasal rumah. Pasal balik. Tengok anak baru nak start lagi. Tengok dia sampai lah. Jalan kampung. Kecil. Buat satu kereta. Tahun tu susah nak usulkan pasang untung bantah-bantah. Kenapa tak ada sama-sama ada ni boleh masuk ni tak?
PKI kena tanya password.
Terus main ni tadi?
Pejabat tu cuba. Kalau dapat saya test tak dapat dia slow.
Tak, sebab akan nak paparkan apa YouTube je. Kalau tak ada tak apalah, tak payahlah aku buat YouTube waktu tu.
Nak aku minta ada tak pakai kabel apa. Saya buka dari sini.
Sebab aku pakai phone tak connected. Ambil Android tu lah. Ambil Android. Buka balik. Ambil Android. Bukan namanya.
Okay. Apparently, we are short of modules. Okay. Okay, so while we're waiting for the modules, what I'm going to do is, we're going to go through the paper first. Okay, I'm sure many of you are very familiar with the format, but I will just go through it once again. Yeah, okay? And then later, when you have your slots with your teachers in your classes, okay, what they're going to do is they're also going to use the module, and you will be doing the exercises in the modules. Okay, today I'm just going to kind of go overall. All right, so just look at my slides. Okay, so you have two writing papers. Two writing papers. The first one, paper one, is your... Nobody? Is your essay. Good, okay? So you've got how many essays? Two essays. Now the first one is directed writing. Alright? Now for directed writing, you will get 35 marks. It's 35 marks, and it's usually known as DW. Okay? And the second essay is your CW, or continuous writing, which is 50 marks. Okay? Now next you have your paper 2. I will be focusing more on your paper 1 today, because I think paper 2 you can do in the classes. It's better that way. Alright? Now your paper 2 is 2 hours 15 minutes. Your paper 1 was 1 hour 45 minutes. Okay? So paper 2, you have 4 sections. Section A is objective, which is 15 marks. Section B is your information transfer, which is 10 marks. Section C is 25 marks. You have 10 marks for reading comprehension and 15 marks for your summary. Okay? And your summary is 10 marks for content, 5 marks for language. Okay, then in section D, you have literature, 5 marks for poem, and 15 marks for your novel. Alright, so today we're going to go through your essays and also your novels. Your one novel. Okay, don't read more than one. Now, yeah, I wanted to show you a video of a funny quote, but I have no why. Oh, boleh.
Dapat sa audio.
Cuba let's try. You want a quote? Did somebody want a quote? Okay, let's try. Tak boleh. Ha? Tak ada pun dia punya. Alah, tak apalah. So you don't get to see my code right now. Okay? We'll just go to the next slide. Okay? Alright. Now, kau tengah loading. Sial.
Aku tak bilang bukanlah mesti buka browser baru type video tu.
Tak apalah. Itu satu energizer untuk tak. Kau nak kena ada energizer.
Tak bilang buka browser baru.
Buka browser baru macam mana?
Tutup dulu PowerPoint tu. Okay, buka browser.
Lambatlah sampai. Kenapa?
Apa masa
payahlah. Sekejap lagi tu.
Tidak ala-ala nak buka.
The greatest glow of gold peptide crystals. Crystallure.
Okey. Alright. So yeah. So you saw the two goats, correct? Now you know whenever I show you a video, I'm not just showing it to you for you to laugh about it. Do you think it was funny, that video just now? No? Okay, so what happened in the video? What happened to the goat? What did you see happen to the goat, the small goat? Okay? He kept trying, right? He kept trying, and the bigger goat kept telling him he was doing it wrong, right? And so, but he didn't give up. He didn't bow, he didn't lower his head, he put his head up, and he tried again. Alright? Now that's basically life, right? So, many of you find the task of writing very daunting. Okay? Now pay attention to what I say, because I like using big words that you, as kumpulan satu, okay, should also use in your essays. Alright? Now the first part is directed writing, the first essay. Okay? So, directed writing is usually formatted. Yeah, it is the essay that has notes and also a particular format. Yeah, it's usually either a speech, an article, a report, a letter, okay, formal or informal. Alright, so you will be given notes as well when you're writing when you're given your question paper. Now, with the notes that are given, okay, please use all the notes given. Alright? Now, when you get the question, it will say that you may use all the notes given. Okay, abaikan may tu. The may means that you use the words exactly. You may use those words exactly. But the ideas that they have given, you must use. Alright, you must use those ideas. You can change the words, but the meaning must not be different. You mustn't change the meaning. You understand? Yeah? Okay, so you will get 12 marks usually for content, and 3 marks for format, and 20 marks for language. Language mark does not change. What might change is the content and format. So when you get your question, you count the points. If there are 12 points, including yang dia kata give your own opinion. Okay? Now, if you have 12 content points, then there should be 3 marks for format. And if you get 13 content points, there should be 2 marks for format. Alright? And then, don't spend too much time here. Okay? Don't spend too much time on your directed writing. Only spend about 30 to 35 minutes. You're only given 1 hour 45 minutes. Okay, so you need to plan very well. Now, when you're writing, they've given you the points, right? As soon as you get your paper, look at the question carefully, understand the requirements. I'm telling you all this because I know in your panic, when you're answering, there are certain things that you forget, so I have to remind you. Again, look at the question carefully. Understand what they want. Is it a speech? Okay, sometimes a speech is also known as a talk. Okay, so if it's a speech or a talk, know what the format
marks are. Alright? Okay. And then there are also appropriate opening and closing remarks for each kind of essay. Now, when you get the module, okay, if you look through it, there are some very good examples. So that is basically what the module is for extra notes for you. Okay? What else? Okay. Now, for directed writing, don't spend too much time because the points are already given. All you have to do is think of suitable sentences. Okay? Now, let's move on to continuous writing. Oh, wait. Okay, these are the formats that you need to know. Okay? First, you have a speech. Now, in a speech, there are 3 format marks. The first is your greeting. Yeah? A very good morning to the principal of SMK Taman Malawati, Puan Zarina binti Mahmud. Always write in full. Okay, side note, yeah. An exam must always be formal, or a decree of formal. Alright? You are not actually giving a speech. You are actually writing a speech for your exam. And your exam is a public exam. Right? So be formal. Don't use contractions like didn't, shouldn't, wouldn't. It is did not, would not, should not. Alright? And then, now when you have a speech, first you have your greeting. A simple greeting is enough, right? You just say, a very good morning, I bid to our principal, Puan Zarina binti Mahmud, senior assistants, teachers, and friends. Do not use fellow friends. Fellow is used for a certain, you can say fellow students, but not fellow friends. Although it's nice, but FF, right? But it's fellow students or fellow teachers, not fellow friends. Okay? Kalau friends, friends sahaja. No fellow. Okay? Then you have your purpose. Always state your purpose when you're writing a speech. Tell your audience, okay, I am here today, like what I did just now. I told you that today we're going to be discussing the papers, right? So tell your audience in your speech, I'm standing here today to talk about how to save the environment. Now, how to save the environment, okay? Right. And then you have your closing. Now, the closing remarks for a speech is just thank you. Alright? Or thank you for listening. But basically, you thank the audience. Alright? Now, you can ask me questions later, right after I finish all the format marks. Okay? Second, we have an informal letter. Okay? Of course, you're saying, oh, mana ada orang tulis surat sekarang ni? But never mind, it's in your required learning. So you need to know the format. Alright? First, you have your address. Okay, now your address, right? Not the recipient's address, your address. Now your address can be either on the left or on the right. It doesn't matter, as long as you have your address there, right? Underneath your address is the date, right? Then you have your greeting. Dear Lina, okay? Dear Sarah, comma. Tak payah letak my dearest, my dear, my, tak payah, just dear je. Okay? Your creativity comes elsewhere. Dekat dear tu, just put dear. Okay? Then you have your closing. Now your closing, when you're writing to a friend, what should you use as your closing? Right at the end, when you sign off, you can say your friend and sign, okay? Or you can say yours truly and sign. Remember, it's always yours, yeah? Not yours, Yours truly. Y capital, T capital. Alright? Comma and then sign. Your signature. Okay. Now next is an article. Now an article only has 2 format marks. Yeah? So usually an article has 2, which is the title in the middle. Underline it. Now your title should start, every word should start with a capital letter. Now these are little things, okay, but nanti it will get you flustered. You will get a bit, you know, when you're writing because you're not sure. Now I'm telling you now, remember, so that you're sure. Okay, every first letter of every word, except small words like to, in, the, okay, every letter is capital. Save your stylo writing, okay, for writing to your friends or to your girlfriend or boyfriend. In your public exam, make sure your capital letter looks like a capital letter. Okay? Must be bigger. I'm nagging you because I always get this. Alright? Then you have name of writer. Just write written by and then the name. Name must be in full. Your name plus your father's name or your surname. Okay? Next we have a formal letter. Okay, now formal letter is a bit complicated because there's a lot of format marks. There are more than 3. But what they do in SPM is they give half mark, half mark. And if like, say it's a pair, right? You have your address and the recipient's address. Okay, so your address and the recipient's address. If you only have your address, so that's half mark, but you don't have the recipient's address, you don't get 1 mark. Faham tak? Dia kena ada, you have to have both, baru you dapat half 1. If you only have 1, it's not counted as a half. Right? Okay, so you have your address, your recipient's address, which usually must begin. Okay, there was 1 year when I was marking SPM. It was for the town council, Majlis Perbandaran, town council. So they didn't write that. Yeah, the town council, it's just general. They just wrote the address. They tak bagi gelaran dia. Okay, so it was not counted as 1. Alright, then you have your dear sir. No, not dear sir. Sir saja, not dear. Okay, sorry, dear sir. Okay, and then you have your title. Right underneath the dear sir, you have your title. Okay, and then that's half lagi, 1, so dah 2. And the third one is your conclusion, yours faithfully, and then your post. Okay, so that's 2 more marks. So that's 6, so that's 3. Okay? And then finally a report. Now there are many kinds of reports. You have a book report, you have a newspaper report, you have a report in general report, and you have a report for a specific person. I'm sure your teachers have told you this. Now if it's a report for a specific person, they will tell you in the question, you have witnessed an accident in front of your school. Your principal has asked you to write a report. Now, if that kind of question comes out, either dia kata your principal has asked you or your teacher has asked you, so the report is for your principal or for your teacher, okay? So you kena tulis to, those double dots, siapa, from your name, and then you have the title bawah tu. So that's already 3 format marks. Okay? To, from, and title for your report. Okay? And then if it's a general report, it's just the title and your reported by. Okay? We'll go through that later in your classes. You can ask your teachers. Okay? So that's it. Do you have any questions regarding the format? No question? Seriously? Okay. Your CW, your continuous writing. How many marks? How many marks? 50 marks. Are there any points given? No points given. All that you are given are 5 questions and you pick one. You pick only one. Right? So what happens is, okay, when you get the paper, right, you've done directed writing. Okay? So you're done with directed writing, 35 minutes. Alright? So you have 1 hour, 15 minutes left. Correct? Okay, then you look at the essays for continuous writing. There are, I think, 4 types or 5 types of essays. Yeah, you have argumentative, narrative, descriptive, reflective. Okay, we'll go through that later because every essay has to be tackled differently. Right? Now, read the question carefully, understand the requirements. 1 year, so many students lost marks because the question was, if you could move to another part of Malaysia, okay, or if you could move to another part of your country, where would you go and why? That was the question. Now all the students wrote about countries like Australia, New Zealand, Korea. Dia tanya, your country. Okay, so dia dah dianggap terkeluar tajuk. Okay, distorted. While Cikgu Rahana is trying to make sense out of my... You can't see my slides, it's too small. Kan? Alright? Tak apa. Later what I will do is actually post it in your class groups. Okay? But while she's trying to edit it, alright, I will just talk about the continuous writing, right? Now, it's also known as creative writing, and we all get really scared, right? Now, directed writing, you're given points, but continuous writing, you're not. So you look at the question carefully. Don't get it wrong. Kalau dia kata your country, janganlah tulis bahasa Australia, right? Okay, now when you get your essay, it's always, what you do, I know what you do is, you don't really write a plan. You just write whatever comes to your mind and then you write, okay? That's a surefire way of digging your own grave and then jumping in it, if you don't plan. Have you ever heard, failure to plan is planning to fail? Okay, that is especially true of your continuous writing. You have to plan, no matter how good you are, no matter how good you think you are, always plan. You know, for example, I'm standing here speaking to you, I have a plan, I know what I'm going to talk about, right? I'm not just going to go literature, continuous writing, directed writing, no. I have my sequence. That's what you need to do when you're writing your essay as well. A plan. for this essay, for your continuous essay, for your directed writing, and also for your literature essay later. Okay? Now what you do is, you make a plan. You have a minimum of about 5 paragraphs. You have introduction, you have conclusion, and you have your points in between. Right? Why do you need to plan? Because this essay, you're not given any points. Right? So if you don't plan, your brain is doing 2 big tasks at the same time. Yeah, my class knows this. I've told them. The first essay, you have your points. All you have to do is find words, right? Now for the second essay, you don't have points. So if you don't write down your points dulu, you have to think of your points, and you also have to think of the words. So my suggestion is, you have 1 hour 15 minutes. Spend 5 to 10 minutes to plan your essay well. Okay? I'm going to give you an example of my son. Yeah? You all know my son Faris, right? Okay. So what he does is, dia kaput. Okay? He knows he's good in English. Okay? But what he does is, because he knows he's good, he becomes lazy, he becomes overconfident. He says, oh, I'm going to pick this essay. And he doesn't plan, he just writes. Okay, so he writes, and then halfway through, because he hasn't planned, he discovers, oh, I don't want to write this essay. I think I want to write B. Masa tinggal 30 minit. And he has to write 350 words. He's already written about 200 words already. Tapi now he's stuck, he can't think, because he hasn't got a plan. But he says, okay, I'm going to write this other essay. So he writes that essay, and in the end, he submits an essay that is 350 words, but not planned, written in a hurry, and so he doesn't get that A+ that he should. Okay? Now don't let that happen to you. Why get an A when you can get an A+? Alright? Make sure you plan. Make sure you put your thoughts aside, brainstorm on what points you're going to write. Okay, that is the importance of planning. Plan your points first, then plan what sentences, what words you will use. Okay? Alright. Alright, once you're done writing your essay, you check. Is your grammar correct? Is your spelling correct? Punctuation, is it correct? Yeah? I've given some of you exercises, like, when you say, grandma, comma, can I, no, something, okay, but the placement of a comma is very important in what your sentence means. You understand? Yeah, so your punctuation is very important. So make sure that your punctuation, your grammar, and your spelling is correct. Now when the examiner is looking at your paper, right? First they will read it through once. And the first time they read it, they will underline all the errors. This includes spelling errors, punctuation errors, and wrong word choice, okay, and grammar. So they underline. At the same time also, they are ticking. The first time they are reading, they are ticking for merit points. Merit points are good words that you use, good vocabulary, and also good expressions, yeah, idioms, and generally things that show that you're very smart, correct? You want to show the examiner that you are smart. Okay, so there will be a small tick given for those. Alright? Then they will look at the essay again, overall. Are there more errors than merits? Or are there more merits than errors? Then they will place you in bands. Okay? There's the A band, which is for continuous writing, 45 to 50 marks, which is what you're aiming for. Okay? Okay, so that's A. B is say 36 to 42, something like that. Okay, I don't remember the exact numbers. So if you have a generally good essay, no grammar errors, no spelling errors, so it goes to an A, right? Goes up. But then you don't have a lot of merits. Your language is simple. You keep repeating the same words. You nak kata angry and it's just angry. You don't use words like grumpy or furious. Okay? So then your essay mark goes down. Goes down one band. Depends on the language that you use. Alright? Or you have a very high mark because you got a lot of merits. Lepas tu sekali dia cakap, salah guna perkataan ni. It's a good word, but it's wrongly used. Okay? Because you're not sure what it actually means. And you don't know if you have used it correctly, tapi you letak je. Okay, so turun lagi markah you. You understand? That's how they mark. It's called impressionistic marking. Yeah? Dia tak ada like, oh salah satu grammar, tolak satu markah. It's not like that. What they do is impressionistic marking. So your essay has to be good all over. Yeah? So kalau introduction, points semua dah bagus, tiba-tiba conclusion, because you didn't plan, you rush. Okay? So when that happens, cut conclusion, you have suddenly a lot of errors. Okay? So it brings your mark down. Right? The thing is, what I always get is tak cukup masa. Yeah? Okay, memang tak cukup masa. Right? I think for all these papers that you have to write a lot, sejarah, English, yeah, literature, you always don't have enough time. What you have to do is you have to train yourselves now. You have a few more weeks. A few more weeks. Okay? So you have to train. You have to start writing. Don't just type. Sebab korang dah biasa type kan? Okay? When I first got the classes hari tu, because they've been typing, they kind of forgotten how to write. Okay? And your writing is your... Okay? I literally urut kepala because you haven't written in so long, your writing is illegible. Okay? Tak boleh dibaca. So practice writing from now. Alright? You need to practice that writing. And you need to practice writing fast and legibly. Okay? Alright, kejap. Okay, tak apa, nanti I will send the slides to your classes if it's too small because the hall is really big. Yeah? Okay, these are the types of continuous writing. Now, first of all, you have narrative. This is my favorite, if it's done well. Okay? You watch movies. You read books. Okay, many of you may not watch movies. You read fan fiction. You watch Korean dramas. So you have a lot of stories in your head. Your stories don't have to be original. The examiner hasn't seen every movie or read every book in this world. Betul? So, take a story that you've seen or you've read. Make it your own. How do you make it your own? Okay? Make it your own by using your own words. When you've described it in your own words, then it's your story. Okay? So, when writing a story, remember, you're only writing 350 words. Okay, now 350 words may seem long to you, but it's actually not that long. So, plan. Plan your plot well. Plan your story well. Jangan masukkan too many things in your story. Decide what you want to tell. Okay? Ini you nak masuk, cerita ni nak masuk, cerita tu nak masuk, cerita tu nak masuk, and your story becomes rubbish. Alright? Plan. You must plan. Kalau nak tulis pasal crash landing on you, Okay? Then write about one story. Right? Don't write all the Korean dramas you know and put it into one story. Alright? Now next, you have descriptive writing. Now for descriptive writing, what your aim is, your reader, the examiner, dia seorang je nanti baca essay you. Okay? But you have to put all your effort into the essay. Because, okay, this descriptive writing, what you want, what your aim is, for the reader to imagine what you are writing about. Your description has to be so good that the reader can actually imagine the place you're writing about, the person you're writing about. So, kalau tulis pasal person, if you're writing about a person, tak cukup lah you kata she had long, wavy, brown hair and bright blue eyes. Tak kena. Okay, and grey eyes. Okay, that's not enough. What you need to do is, if it's a person you like, you have to use words that show you like this person. So contohnya, you say, when she walked in, her wavy blonde hair cascaded to her waist. And when she flipped her hair, the whole room turned to look at her. Nampak tak? Beza tak? Dengan just she was tall with long hair. Okay? So you want to like kind of, tahu tak that slow motion supaya orang macam, wow, that's what you want. Okay, what you have to do now is you read a lot. If you want to do descriptive essay, you need to be able to show the person what you see, what you feel, what you hear, so that that person, okay, experiences the same thing that you did. If it's an event, you must write about what happened, what noises did you hear, what did you see, okay? And the same thing about goes for places as well. If you want to say you're in like a fantastic place in the mountains, what did you see? How did it make you feel? Right? Now this is the one chance for you to kind of express yourself. Alright? Don't think about what over ke, tak ke. It's okay, let it out. Okay? Now next, you have factual or expository writing. Okay. What this is it will ask you about things like, is tuition necessary? Okay? Something like that. Or it can also be the internet is the best creation to mankind. Okay? Now this kind of essay, you need facts. Right? Now you need facts. But what happens? You think, oh, all the 5 titles that come out, and you know, you can't write any of them. But the factual essay tu macam boleh, but you don't have the facts. Okay? Now don't worry. The factual essays that come out are usually pertaining to topics that are surrounding you. So it's usually about teenage issues or school issues or even current issues. But not current sangat. I don't think they will give you questions about the COVID or online, maybe online learning, but maybe not COVID, because these questions have been set since last year. Okay? They dah set lama, unless they change the set, so I don't know. But usually it's all about issues that surround you. Okay? Now, reflective writing. Okay, reflective writing is also quite I wouldn't say easy, but what it is about is, it's usually your opinion on certain things. One year, one essay that came out was, write about your choice of a life partner. Okay, so you kenalah cakap what you need to see in your life partner. Okay, you want somebody rich, you want somebody funny. Okay, but it's more complicated than that. You have to explain in detail. Okay, so that's a reflective essay. And finally, you have argumentative writing. Now, argumentative writing is usually write about the pros and cons of online learning, for example. You know, pros and cons. So you can sometimes I get confused myself. Okay, now there are two types. One, they will say, they will give a statement, right? Online learning is the new norm, right? Then they will ask you, the question will be, do you agree? Okay, so when they ask you, do you agree, you can either write all agree, all for, yeah, or all points for the topic, or all against the topic if you don't agree, but you have your points to support it. Yeah. But if they ask you this, if they say discuss, or if they say give the pros and cons, then you have to have both. You understand? Okay. Right. All right. So that's basically it about the paper 1. Yeah. After this, I will talk a bit about your literature, okay? And when you get the modules, yeah, there are a lot of examples in the modules. There are formats, there are opening remarks, there are closing remarks, there are also vocabulary notes, okay? So have a look at the modules, read, go through it, but the module doesn't have a literature part to it. Okay, it's just your essays, and also what it has is a lot of practice on summaries. You will do that in your classes with your teachers, right? Because it's difficult for me to do it now. What I'm doing today is just overall. Okay? Now, I understand listening to me talk, although I'm a wonderful, wonderful person, okay, can get kind of boring. Okay, so I want you all to stand up. We're going to do an energizer, because I see some people already yawning. Okay, so don't blame you, because sitting down for a long period of time, yeah, not really moving, can be a bit tiring. So you just stand up and stretch a bit. Okay, just stretch. Or not. You don't want to stand up? Okay, stand up. I'm making you stand up. Up, 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 up. Okay. Stand up, yeah. Alright. Now, lift both your hands up. Now, I'm not going to lift both my hands because the speaker will fall on, the microphone will fall on my head. Okay, now you put both your hands up. Okay, gagam, like what you call it? What you Okay, move your fingers. Okay, turn to the right, turn to the left. Okay, shake your feet. Don't kick your friends. Okay, shake your feet. Right. Okay, now sit down. sit. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not an exercise instructor, so I don't know what that's called. Okay. It's almost 8:30. Okay, so I got 1 more hour, and I want like a question and okay, so I have another video. All right, Just watch it. I find this adorable, so I don't know. The boys might not think it's adorable. Let's just watch.
Mana nak pergi besar? Mana nak pergi besar? Kalau dia dalam slide. Dah besar.
Daging loh. Cute tak?
We don't talk anymore. We don't talk anymore. We don't talk.
Okay. Okay, before we go into polls, right? When you looked at the video just now, right? I bet you do that, right? That's what I do sometimes. Look at all these short videos or TikTok. I know people give TikTok a lot of flack, right? But I think TikTok is educational, right? Not doing TikTok, but actually watching TikTok. There's all kinds of things on TikTok, right? So there are also all kinds of short stories, yeah, and videos on YouTube, like that, for example. Yeah, what was the message in that video? Okay, no matter how scared you are, one day if you reach the point of no return, dia dah masuk dalam air dah tenggelam, and the little bird sees that it's actually nothing, right? So once that was done, once he gotten over the worst part of it, yeah, he knew that he could do it, right? He knew that he was stronger than what he was actually. So yeah, put that in your stories, right? Okay, and also, actually all these videos, yeah, when you look at it, all right, you can actually twist it or turn it in your minds to suit you. Do you understand what I mean or not? Yeah? I'll tell you a bit when we go to literature. Okay? I know many of you are not afraid of literature, but you find that there's no point in learning it. Yeah? And you find that because there's no point, it's not interesting. And it's difficult because the language used is not what you're used to. Betul? Right. Why do you have to study about charge of the light brigade? Okay? Let me just give you a short summary of each poem. Right? Charge of the light brigade. What's it about? It's about war. How many people? 600. Right? 600 soldiers. Yeah, it's in the poem. Just go through it. Okay? 600 soldiers who went to war. They were marching, and then when they were marching, they realized that they were walking towards their death. Because the place that they were marching, okay, those of you who are game enthusiasts should kind of put this in your minds, yeah. So they're marching in a valley, and they're being closed in. There are cannons to the right of them, cannons to the left of them, cannons in front of them. And they can't run. They're walking towards their doom. Right? And they realized somebody's made a mistake. Their commander has made a mistake. But they're soldiers. Right? They're soldiers, and theirs is not to question why. Theirs is just to do and die. Right? So, they don't have a choice. So they marched on bravely, even though they knew that they were not going to survive. Okay? Now the poem, although it's very morbid, it's very scary, right? Is about obedience. It's about obeying your superior without question. Okay? Which is what soldiers do, right? And the questions that come out, mostly they will ask you, what do you think you would do? So you answer, I'm not a soldier, so I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't want to walk towards my death. I would run away. Okay? So that's an example of what you answer. Don't treat the poems as your enemy. Okay, think of it as just a stimulus to your ideas. But know your poems. Know what the poems are about. Alright? The next poem, Living Photograph. It's a very simple poem. It's about this child, okay, who is of mixed parentage. That's why we say white hand and black hand. Is it black hand and white hand? Okay? Because I think the child is mixed, so the grandmother is holding her hand, right? So in the poem, they describe grandmother dia pakai apa. Dia describe rupa grandmother dia, right? And basically, it's all about thinking about family and looking at pictures and how pictures are your memories. Okay? Now, next poem was What Has Happened to Lulu. Now these poems, these things, they always want to kind of talk about current issues. So the issue there is a teenager who has run away. So the teenager Lulu has run away, and we're seeing this from the eyes of her younger brother or younger sister. Right? Because the younger sibling is asking, where's Lulu? What has happened to Lulu? She's asking the mom. And the mom is not telling the younger child. She's not saying anything because she feels maybe the younger child might not understand. But the child actually sees more than the mother thinks. She knows, right? She sees that there's only one shoe. She sees that the window is open. Now, all these are the things in the poem. Alright, so that's all kind of you need to know. What they might ask you, okay, literature poem questions, they have 4 questions. Number 1, 2, 3 is based on the poem. Okay, and number 4, the last question, is your opinion. It's your opinion on the poem or on the issue that they're discussing. Alright, so they might ask you, if your friend was about to run away, what would you say to her? So again, that's your opinion. Can be almost anything. Janganlah tulis pasal benda tak berkaitan dengan running away. Pergi tulis pasal shopping buat apa? Alright? Write about the issue at hand. Right, the last poem is Poison Tree. A poison tree is a headache, isn't it? It's about revenge. It's about anger. It's about how when you hold your anger inside you, it consumes you. Yeah? It makes you hate. It makes you hate the people around you. It makes you hate so much that it becomes a tangible, a living thing. Your actual hate can't actually become free. Okay? But in that poem, they symbolize that the anger grew and grew until it became a tree. Okay? So the question they might ask for the last question would be, what would you do if you were angry with your friend? You just say, I would talk to my friend or not. Okay? So those are the poems. Right? Next is your... So we watch theatre. So we listen to songs. Then we get to experience other cultures, other people's feelings. Right? Okay. Now maybe reading is not your thing, but if you listen to a song, right? A song is literature, it's poetry. Yeah? It's poetry that you put to a beat and you sing it. Okay. The theatre, the movie, that's all literature. Okay? Literature is art. It's something that you don't usually do on a daily basis. Right? So, when you listen to a song and it touches you because I know that feeling. Okay? Baru break up dengan boyfriend, tiba-tiba dengar lagu Mariah Carey, My Odd, alamak, nangis. Okay? That's the effect of literature on you. Right? Now, if you were to answer, Dear Mr. Kilmer, but you did not read the book, macam mana nak nangis? Macam mana nak emotion, You get what I mean? You need to read the book. You need to cry when Mr. Kilmer dies. Okay? You need to shed a tear when Richard Knight's father understands what he's going through, because that's what you want as a teenager, isn't it? Your parents' approval. Betul? Richard tries so hard in the novel. Okay? He tries so hard to please his father. But he keeps on disappointing his father, or so he feels. Right? He feels that time after time, he's a disappointment. He's not into sports. His father is into hunting, and he's not. He's the opposite. He loves animals. He doesn't see why you have to kill an animal if there's no need. Right? he tries to tell his father that he writes poetry because that's how he expresses himself. And his father says, apa pula ni? You know, what in the world, poetry, what's that? How can poetry be important when you're a farmer? Right? Know your story. When you know your story, you can turn it to answer any question that they give you. But you have to read it. Now, if you read it and you don't understand it, that's what friends are for. Ask your friends. Now, friends, if your friends ask you, jawablah. Okay? Because when you teach someone else, you learn that material better. Okay? So if your friend asks you, explain. And if you don't understand, ask. If your friends are too busy, I'm here. Cikgu Farida is here. Cikgu Adriati, Cikgu Safrina, semua ada. Tanya. You have time. Don't ask us at 12 p.m. a.m. p.m. the night before the exam. Okay? Read your story now. It's not a very thick book, but you must read it. Right? You're the first group. Every one of you should read the book. Know the story. Okay? So then, understand key events in the novel. Right? Understand key. When they ask you a question, if they say, oh, write about a brave character. You have the events. You know the events. The important events in the novel are, the first one is the hunting trip. Okay? Hunting trip, you must know about that. Right? How Richard purposely misfires so that he misses the buck. Right? Second event, the vandalism of, second event is when somebody writes on Hannah's book, Dirty Hand. Know the meaning of dirty hand, right? Next event is when Mrs. Hanson asks them to write a sympathy card, but nobody signs, only Richard signs. And Richard goes to the house, to Hannah's house to give the card, and Hannah is upset and she scolds Richard. Okay, what other events? Okay, the writing of the essay, winning of the competition for Lady Liberty and Doughboy. Right? Next, Hannah and Richard declining Doughboy and Lady Liberty. Kenapa they decline? Right? You need to know this. Next is when they went for the picnic, the end of year picnic. Right? Something almost happens, but then someone throws a rock at Hannah, right? Okay, then after that, when you read, you find that they get closer to each other, right? And then Mr. Kilmer dies. Oh, okay, along those lines, along the chapters, there's the relationship between Richard and Mr. Kilmer. Okay, so then Mr. Kilmer dies. Then after Mr. Kilmer dies, Richard is so distraught, right? He writes a poem. He writes a poem, a tribute to Mr. Kilmer. So when that's done, Hannah tells him that, oh, you should put this in the Turtle Lake Weekly, right? And when he does, his father reads it. And then his father understands what poetry is about. Okay? And there's a touching moment when his father tells him about his brother, Uncle Roland, who died in the war, right? Like Mr. Kilmer. So, know your stories. Know your story. Again, know the characters. Who's Roland? Who's Angie? Who's Gus? Annoying little brother, older brother. Oh yeah. Okay? Who's Mrs. Hanson? Who is Hannah? Know these characters, know the main characters, alright? Now when you get your question, understand the requirement. many times. What happens is, it says, write an event about a character. Then you go and write about 3-4 events. Tak faham soalan. Okay, you know what? When that happens, the examiner only takes one event. So you've actually wasted your time writing 3-4 events. Yeah, you only need to write about one event. Read the question carefully, right? And only about one character. If dia kata and, that's only one. Don't write more. Okay, because your essay deserves, if it's a 15-mark essay, right, you need to give it the attention it deserves. Write appropriately, write the proper length, write an event, but one event. Give 3 examples or 3 emotions, right? Okay, yeah. State your points clearly. I would like it to be quite methodical. Yeah, you write your point or your event or whatever the requirement is at the beginning of the paragraph. Then you explain. Then you write an example. Nampak tak? Make it clear. Okay? Also plan. Plan. Right? Because what happens if you don't plan for this essay is, you akan tulis point yang sama. You akan pakai example yang sama. Right? Because you didn't plan. Do that plan, just like a few points, a few like squiggles. And then finally, check for errors. Okay. Any questions so far? Tiada. Okay, these are sample questions for novels. Okay, write about an event which upset you. Okay, so you write about an event that upset you, right? So, dia lah event. So only one event. One event that upset me was when Mrs. Hanson asked them to write the card, to sign the card, and only Richard signed. Okay, that's the event. Nampak? Now, what are my points to support? Okay, so my point would be why the event upset me. So I'm going to give 3 reasons why the event upset me. Number 1, it upset me because the classmates were so ignorant. Okay? Just because Hannah's parents are from Germany doesn't mean that they support Germany. Okay? Bukan German. German is the bangsa. Alright? So, that's my first reason. I'm upset with the classmates because they are ignorant. Number 2, I'm upset that the bullies tried to threaten the other kids. Nampak tak? Lain tak point tadi dengan point ni? Lain kan? Different reasons, right? Okay? I'm upset that the bullies were so bad that they influenced everyone in the class not to sign the card. Right? And the third reason I was upset is because the tavern got vandalized in the first place. Okay? Or maybe that's my first. It's up to you. See, you need to plan. So that you put the most important one first. Okay? So I was upset because the tavern got vandalized. Nampak tak? So that's your essay. Event and reasons. Right? And then the next one. Write about an important decision made by one of the characters and how it changed his or her life. Okay, ada banyak part. There are many parts to this question. Okay? Number 1, decision. Number 2, character. So one decision, one character. Number 3, how it changed the character's life. Okay? Nampak kan? So you need to do those 3 things. Okay? Third question. Suggest one character from the novel, one character who is a good role model for teenagers. Good role model for teenagers. So should be a teenager too, right? And then briefly describe the character, give a short description, and give reasons for your choice. Okay. So you pick one character who is a good role model, describe the character, and tell them why this character, tell us why this character is a good, should be a good role model. Right? So bagi 3 reasons. Okay. Then finally, describe one problem faced by the main characters, by one of the main characters, and how the problem was solved. So every question has several parts to it. So make sure you answer all the parts, you address all the parts. Don't just do one part. Okay? As soon as you get your question, as soon as you read it, underline which are the important elements that you need to address. Boleh? Okay? It's almost 9. Okay. So, do you have any questions? Or as the teachers, really? You don't have any questions? That's a bit, that's very scary because whenever there are no questions, it's either I'm so good that you understand me perfectly, or I'm so bad that you don't understand me at all. So which is it? So good, can? Okay, but if you have any questions and you're shy and when the teachers are walking, you just tanya. Alright? Now these are my final tips. You're gonna at the end now. I'm just gonna go through these tips. These are general ones. Number 1, write legibly. Write legibly. If it's a capital letter, it's supposed to look like a capital letter. Especially your M dengan your S. Okay? Make sure if it's capital lah. Kata nama khas. Know all this. I know you know, but you forget when you're writing because you're writing too fast. Yeah? So make sure your writing is clear. Check for errors. Sometimes it's simple grammatical subject-verb agreement. He is, tak boleh he are. Alright, all these things. Yeah? When to put the S, when to not put the S. Help your examiner. How do you help your examiner? Okay. Now, examiners are mostly old. I'm sorry if there are any examiners watching this. Okay, but most examiners are old. Yeah? And so when you're old, your eyesight is not so good. So if your eyesight is not so good, then your candidate, you, write macam semut, okay? That's going to be tough for your examiner. They would have to use a magnifying glass. Alright? So help them. Don't write too small. Besar-besar kalau handwriting tu. Janganlah besar sangat. Okay? For your summary, right? Do the boxes. Do the boxes, use a pencil. Once you're done, erase, right? Because examiners have to count every word. Yeah, and it's so tedious. Because every examiner will get about 250 scripts, right? Minimum 250 scripts. So kalau 250 scripts, dia kena kira, okay, dia penat. Now a happy examiner will give you more marks. So make your examiner happy. Help them, okay? Jangan tulis, don't write like, I know many of you will become doctors, yeah. Don't write like a doctor. Okay? Write like a teacher. Teachers have very nice handwriting. Yeah? Okay, plan. I cannot stress enough on how important it is for you to plan. Right? For anything. It doesn't have to be an extensive plan. Tak payahlah buat macam kertas kerja tu, tak payah. Just point forms. Just like, you know, when you get your points, cabang-cabang sikit je. Right? Okay? And then read sample essays. These are many and abundant on the internet. Okay? Read them. Read how these essays are written, their descriptive language, their adjectives, okay? And then avoid repetition. Now, repetition is very dangerous. Like you nak cakap angry, you tak ada perkataan lain. So, balik-balik, you tulis angry. Okay? What it does is it shows that your vocabulary is limited. Okay? And the examiner says, oh, this candidate, very limited vocabulary, C-band. Terus. That's part of the C-band punya descriptor. Simple, repetitive language. Okay? So avoid repetition. Right. I see that the teachers are giving the module. Oh, so it's not been stable, so tak apa. It's 9 now. You lucky people get really nice food, kan? And you get food and food and food. You get food now, and then you get food later. By the end of this perkampungan ilmu, go weigh yourself. Okay, please go weigh yourself. I'm pretty sure you would have gained 1 or 2 kilos. Yeah? No, you don't eat. You bring your own food. As the teachers are going round, do you have any questions for me? No? Tu yang kat tangan tu nak tanya soalan ke menggeliat? Menggeliat. You want to do some more exercises? No? Okay. Because I want you to get the modules so that I can go through some of the samples that they've given. So kita tunggu sekejap. Right? I will show you another video. Do you want to see another video? Yeah? Alright. Hold on.